level. They rise to the highest level. I promise those families the deaths of their loved ones will not have been in vain, and that we will take strong and forceful action to fulfill our sacred duty to save and protect American lives. Every single day, we are finding these gang members, these drug dealers, thieves, robbers, predators, criminals, killers, horrible killers, and we are throwing them the hell out of our country. And when they're gone, our now very strong borders, especially with the wall, will never allow them back in. So we're doing a lot of things. We're very proud of what we've done. Justice Gorsuch was a big, big deal. Big deal. Somebody explained it to me beautifully. They said, when you pick a Supreme Court judge, you want great intellect, you want all of the things, but you also want youth, because they'll be there for 40 years. So if Judge Gorsuch, who I've gotten to know, who I think is a fantastic human being, aside from being a brilliant, brilliant student and person, and one of the great legal writers that exists in our country, probably in the world today, every time you see a decision written over the next 30 or 40 years, and especially if it's a 5-4 decision, like perhaps on Second Amendment or so many other things, you have done something that you can't value. It's so important. Think of it, for a 30 to 40 year period, potentially, you've influenced this country. And I've always heard, long, that just about the most important thing you can do, I always say defense, but perhaps outside, because we are going to have a strong military and strong defense, and we need it now. But I've always heard that the most important thing a president can do is pick a great Supreme Court justice. So I've got one, probably have some more, but it is really important. And think of that, over years and years, those decisions that are so important, values, great values. So I'm very, very proud of that pick. He's already been there now for almost 2 months, and people are saying, wow, that is a tremendous person and a tremendous intellect. So we're all very proud of that pick. And you made it possible. So I began this campaign on June 16th. A couple of days ago, 2 years. This is my birthday on June 14th, Flag Day of all things. And we came down the escalator, that famous escalator ride, Melania, myself, and the place went nuts. And hopefully because they like me, but I think also they like the policies. I said the truth. I talked about immigration. I talked about what was happening on the borders. I talked about our military. I talked about the drug problems, which are tremendous, even in Iowa, tremendous problems, beyond anything we've ever seen before. I talked about all of it. And you know what? We were never off center stage in the debates. We stayed, you know what that means. We were number one all the way through, all the way through. We were number one all the way through because of people like you. Never off center. 17 people running. I kept looking up and down. I said, boy, that's a lot of people. Some of them very talented. But 17 people running. We were never off center stage in those debates. And that's because of people like yourselves, because you agree with me. And we are making such incredible progress. We are making progress like nobody can believe. These people are being driven crazy. Crazy. I mean, they have phony witch hunts going against me. They have everything going. And you know what? All we do is win, win, win. We won last night. They can't believe it. They're saying, what is going on? What is going on? We won last night. And even the worst of them said, that was a big win for Trump. I couldn't believe it, actually. Thank you very much, folks. I appreciate it. But we have made a journey together like no other ever in the history of this country, and maybe beyond that. But you look in the history of this country, there's never been anything like this that's happened. We're straightening out through common sense and through a good heart. We're straightening out our country. We're straightening out our country. No matter our beliefs, no matter our party, it's time for us to remember that we are all Americans and that we are in this together. And it would be great if the Republicans and the Democrats could come together and get really, really great legislation passed. Some of the geniuses were saying this morning, you know, from the time he announced on June 16th, 2 years ago, they've been hitting the hell out of him. Hillary took almost all negative ads. The problem was when people went to vote, they didn't know what she stood for other than she was saying bad things about me. And I almost became like, yes. Think of it. So from the time I announced, I've been hit. Then from the time I got in, I said, oh, this is going to be great. Finally, we're going to all come together. They hit me harder. They've now learned, I think, that doesn't work. 5-0. It doesn't work. They need to be positive. They can't continue to be obstructionists. That's all they have going. So they should come together. I don't think they will, but I will tell you, it would be a beautiful, beautiful thing if we could get together as two parties that love our country and come up with that great health care and come up with that great tax deal for our people and tax reform and infrastructure and so many other things. Just think about what a unified American nation could achieve. Nobody could even come close to us. And by the way, even if we're not totally unified, nobody's coming close to us either. Don't worry about it. Gleaming new roads and bridges that would inspire awe and wonder all over the world. You know, we used to be the leader in airports. We'd have the most beautiful airports. Now we're like a third world country. LaGuardia, Newark, LAX, Kennedy, they're like third world airports. Take a look. We used to be the leader. Now you go to Saudi Arabia, where I just came back, a monumental, epic trip. Because I said, you cannot continue to fund terrorism. You cannot continue to fund terrorism. And the King of Saudi Arabia, who is really become just, he's a very special man. I mean that. He is taking it to heart. And now they're fighting with other countries that have been funding terrorism. And I think we had a huge impact. We will see. But I think we had a tremendous impact. We cannot let these incredibly rich nations fund radical Islamic terror or terrorism of any kind. We cannot let it happen. Cannot let it happen. It was one of the great 2 days of my life, and I'm sure a lot of you watched it on television. 54 Muslim nations coming together, some immensely powerful, wealthy nations, and everybody in that room was unified, and the ones that weren't, they're trying to get them to be unified and to do the right thing. I think it could have a tremendous impact. But not only that, I said, for me to go, I'm only going, we had to negotiate, if you spend billions of dollars, billions, on having things manufactured in our country with our jobs and our workers for your country. And hundreds of billions of dollars was spent and given to American companies who are going to make American products and send those products over to the wealthy countries of the Middle East. I mean, hundreds of billions of dollars. And people haven't talked about that, but to me that was very important because we want those jobs. We want those jobs. So they're making airplanes, they're making all sorts of things, hundreds of billions of dollars, and it's going back, and I'm very proud of that. That's something people don't talk about because the real purpose of my being there was to make sure these countries do not fund terror any longer. So I just want to leave Iowa. I said that I'd come back. Oh, I love that you're not. Look at that. You don't want me to leave. I don't want to leave either. I don't want to leave either. I don't want to leave either. But I said I would come back. And I made lots of statements to your governor and to your current governor. Kim is going to be a fantastic governor. She's here. She's going to be a fantastic governor. But I said that I was going to come back. I said that I was going to protect your ethanol for good reason, only for good reason. And it was very important to me. I said that I was going to do things for the people of Iowa, and I want to let you know, I've done it for the people of Iowa, but I've really done it for the people of our country. Our country is getting stronger. It's getting better. We're going to be setting records in so many different ways. We're going to straighten out all of the mess that's happened over the last long period of time where we went into other nations to tell them how to run their country, and we had no idea. But I just want to thank all of the people that are here tonight. I want to thank the people of Iowa. You are incredible people. I want to thank you for your incredible support. And I just want to let you know that God blesses you. And I want to just say, you are special in every way. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I love that he places.
That was President Trump speaking for over an hour in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, very important state to him, kind of doing a little bit of a victory lap after Republican Karen Handel won her special election in Georgia yesterday. After Trump's election, the Republican Party, his party, 5-0. So the president feeling a little wind at his back. He hit on a lot of the high notes, infrastructure, tax reform, immigration, North Korea, China. Also weaving some amusing anecdotes into the stories and slamming the mainstream media as usual. Gregory, what struck you from this huge rally out in Cedar Rapids?
The gum chewing was a little irritating, but
Who was chewing gum?
The nice woman behind him was chewing a lot of gum. But I have to say, this is a very interesting thing. Everything he talks about, law and order, security, national defense, he's talking not about himself. He's talking about them. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. So this is where you get this incredible distinction and why the Democrats are in trouble. We know what he's about. He is about us. We know what the Democrats are about. They are about him. So as he focuses on America, the Republicans focus on America, the Democrats are mistakenly focusing on him, and they're devoting all their energies. They're pouring millions into a seat in Georgia. They are obsessed with Russia because their entire party line, their entire plank is get Trump. And meanwhile, he's just saying, this is what I'm going to do for you. This is what I'm going to do for you. When he says we're driving him crazy, that's what he's alluding to. And then he plays the Rolling Stones at the end, which is another nice little touch just to say, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, because the Rolling Stones, I don't believe, enjoy that.
No. And you can't always get what you want, Mick. Although he pretty much did.
He does, and he still does. Greg makes an interesting point, Dana. The president's connection with crowds, very important, very emotional connection. Interesting that a Manhattan billionaire has such a great connection with, regular, everyday citizens of middle America. I feel like the Democrats and the media have a very hard time with that connection because they cannot break that connection. And that connection continues to sustain this president even after all these slings and arrows.
So it's been confounding for not just for Democrats or the media, but for the 17 or 16 candidates that he talked about, because he did the whole gamut tonight. I thought that what is refreshing about it, if you're a viewer or a fan or if you're just interested in politics, is that it's completely unfiltered. It is not scripted. This is all off the cuff. And he was able to give his viewpoints on the accomplishments that he thinks he's made so far. Nobody's going to forget what he was talking about. He did something else that I thought was really important tonight, and you haven't seen him do it before, like when the House was trying to pass health care. He laid out the case for why we need health care reform, and he said the Republicans are working on it. We are going to bring it to you, and it doesn't matter how good the bill is, we're not going to get a single Democrat for it. What I think that was saying to Republicans back in Washington is, I've got your back. I'm going to provide some air cover for you because this fight is going to happen within the next 7 days, and that bill will be public tomorrow. It'll be voted on, hopefully. Well, the Republicans say they'll hopefully vote on it by Wednesday. And he goes to Iowa and he makes these points in a state where Medicare and Medicaid mean a lot, and they have a governor who's paying a lot of attention. We're going to spend a lot of time on it this hour, but I would say health care in particular, and also he talked about the future for tax reform, and in particular in Iowa talks about the death taxes. So I thought for Republicans tonight, if you were looking for a reason to be supportive of President Trump, this was a good moment for him and for them.
It was a good moment, and I think, the president has a tendency to sometimes go off on tangents at these rallies, but he did a little bit, but also seemed very disciplined when he talked about the substance of the policy agenda that he's pushing forward. Kimberly, assess how you believe the president's performance was tonight.
I thought he did a fantastic job because you could tell that he was in a very good mood. He's very happy. He is euphoric after that big win because it was kind of like in your face, mainstream media, because they were all saying that Ossoff was going to win. And the sound that you heard of the flushing last night wasn't Greg, but it was the $27 million down the drain that the Democrats spent. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of
that
money.
didn't work out very well for them. So he's able to come off of that high to say, wait a second, this was supposed to be a referendum against me. It, in fact, was not. She took the lead last night and never looked back. So that, to me, is very positive in terms of the timing. It's very fortuitous because he was able to give this great speech in Iowa. You could tell that the crowd loved it. He was able to hit the high notes. He was talking about what a great builder he is. He reassured them about the wall. He brought up Otto Warmbier. All of the things that people want to hear, and to say, listen, I know there's a lot going on in the world, tremendous amount of strife. There's national security issues, etc. I'm going to do this. We're going to get it done. I made a promise to you. I'm not going to let you down. Sometimes people do want to be reassured, to at least believe that he is intending to do these things. And so when you look at the juxtaposition of this high coming off the big win, him coming out in front of a crowd that really enjoys his, company, then you have what the Russia thing seems to pale in comparison, at least, tonight with this going on.
Very effective performance, Juan. I think the Democrats probably fear this style when Trump gets out there in front of a big crowd, as opposed to doing stuff from the podium in D.C.
Well, I think he needs to get out of D.C. It's not the Democrats who fear anything. In fact, I think he complained when Obama would do this. He'd say, why doesn't he go back and actually run the government instead of campaigning all the time? Trump's been on the road all the time. He has reason to celebrate today. That was a big win for him yesterday, because if he hadn't, he would have seen terrific erosion among Republicans, especially in the House, who would fear for themselves in the Trump era. So what you saw in this speech, I think the spine of it was going after the media. I thought that was the whole thing. They won't show the crowd size. Turn the cameras around. They don't want to tell you the sound in this great place. You know, his problem is if Republicans continue, and you see a slight decline now down to about 70% in Republican support from what was 80, he's going to have problems. So he needs to keep the conservative media on his side. That's what this is about.
Doesn't have too many problems, undefeated in special elections and still going strong. Much more to come from tonight's presidential rally.
What makes a house a home? Some say it's the traditions, or the ones you make them with. The marks on the wall, or the beautiful messes. And some say it's where you're truly loved.
We know every home is more than just a house. So trust Angie's List to help find top-rated pros for quality work, because your home is where our heart is.
When you schedule with Safe Flight Auto Glass, you get time for more life. This family wanted to keep the game going.
Hey, Mom, one more game?
With Safe Flight, you get a text when we're on our way. You can see exactly when we'll arrive.
Sure. Bring it.
I'm Michael with Safe Flight,
Thanks for coming. It's right over here.
giving you a few more minutes for what matters most. Take care.
Bye. Safe Flight Repair, Safe Flight Replace.
You're searching a bunch of websites looking for the best hotel deal. Stop doing that to yourself. Let Trivago do it for you. Trivago compares prices from hundreds of websites and apps at the same time. It's that simple. Hotel? Trivago.
Attention, the blood thinners Xarelto, Pradaxa, and Eliquis have been linked to internal bleeding.
If you took a blood thinner and suffered internal bleeding, call the Goldwater Law Firm right now.
I'm attorney Bob Goldwater. If your loved one took Xarelto, Pradaxa, or Eliquis and were then hospitalized for internal bleeding, call us right now. You may be entitled to substantial compensation.
Call 1-800-897-2000. That's 1-800-897-2000.
While everyone is talking about rising drug prices, Blink Health is doing something about it. Go to blinkhealth.com and save up to 95% on your prescriptions today.
When my doctor told me I have age-related macular degeneration, AMD, he told me to look at this grid every day. And we came up with a plan to help reduce my risk of progression, including PreserVision AREDS 2. My doctor said PreserVision AREDS 2 has the exact nutrient formula the National Eye Institute recommends to help reduce the risk of progression of moderate to advanced AMD after 15 years of clinical studies. PreserVision AREDS 2, because my eyes are everything.
The President and First Lady in a powerful sit-down. A candid talk about life inside the White House and their push to help all Americans. Their must-see interview, Friday on Fox & Friends.
Hi, I'm Joan London with A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. For the past 5 years, I've spoken with hundreds of families and visited senior care communities around the country. And I've got to tell you, today's senior living communities are better than ever. These days, there are amazing amenities like movie theaters, exercise rooms and swimming pools, public cafes, bars and bistros, even pet care services. And nobody understands your options like the advisors at A Place for Mom. These are local expert advisors that will partner with you to find the perfect place and determine the right level of care, whether that's just a helping hand or full-time memory care. Best of all, it's a free service. There is never any cost to you. Senior living has never been better, and there's never been an easier way to get great advice. Call today. A Place for Mom. You know your family. We know senior living. Together, we'll make the right choice.
Welcome back. President Trump firing up a crowd tonight in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, at his first rally since April when he marked his first 100 days in office. The theme, Make America Great Again, of course. He took the opportunity to thank his supporters and celebrate the big victories for Republicans in both Georgia and South Carolina last night.
It's always terrific to be able to leave that Washington swamp and spend time with the truly hard-working people. We call them American patriots, amazing people.
And then President Trump turned his sights to one of his favorite targets, the media.
But they built these studios, CNN. Whoop. Hey, the camera just went off. I can't imagine. It's covered live. The camera just went off. I can't imagine why. This phony NBC television network. They actually had one of the people say, you know, it was a little rainy last night. Maybe that was the difference in Karen's race. Can you believe that? But if she had lost, they would have been there for weeks talking about this. This would have been the greatest defeat in the history of American politics. When she won, when they said, projected winner is Karen Handel, then they said, we switch to another program.
Okay, so obviously the president feeling very good about his person in Georgia, Republican Karen Handel winning yesterday after a lot of the mainstream media says it was very tight and this was the Democrats' chance to win. Pelosi, big boogeyman out there. I think Pelosi was rejected. I think she's the bigger foil than President Trump sometimes.
Yeah, the Dems tried to flip the seat and they ended up in the toilet, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, the Dems made a big deal about this election, so you can't let them not make it a big deal now. You got to hold them to it. They said it was a referendum on Trump. No, it's a referendum on Dems, and you could say, okay, you need to go back to the drawing board, but even their drawing board is toxic. And here's why. They did a couple of things wrong. Number one, they relied on celebrities, especially annoying celebrities who are coming in and telling you how to live. That's not good. Also, you're calling your adversary names. We've learned that this doesn't work. You go on Twitter, there are people saying, vote Ossoff, don't be a bigot. Don't reelect another bigot. They called the side bigots. That's also wrong. But the biggest thing that the Dems did, and I don't even want to tell them this because I don't want them to win, is that they traded life experience for identity. So if you had a man with experience, let's say in the military or in corporate world, but you had an undergraduate from Evergreen College. The undergraduate from Evergreen College would gain more respect, even though she or he doesn't have life experience, but has an identity. So a party that took identity and made that more important than life experience, ended up with an inexperienced candidate who's being pushed forward by a bunch of rich liberals from the left coast and the right coast, and this is what happened.
And it's exactly what happened. And tonight did not look to me, Dana, like a president in his 30s in an approval rating. I mean, he looked pretty fired up.
I thought you meant an age.
No.
He felt
he did look like he was very high energy.
Very happy, yes.
But I mean, either the polls are fake or he's an unpopular president pushing a very popular agenda.
Well, he's certainly popular there and in the room, and they were smart, I think. He takes rare trips to states out in the Midwest that helped elect him, but when he does, the people show up and they're entertained and they're energized, and it further solidifies their support for him. Like, that support is not going to go anywhere. Everybody in that room will remember this night for the rest of their lives, and there's something special about that. President Obama had that ability. Bill Clinton had that ability. I would say that George W. Bush had it. Reagan had it. So it's special. Hillary Clinton never had that type of connection. The other thing about in the special election, yes, you did, a private one. Another I think mistake that they made down in Georgia was that they took a district where Trump only won by 1 point, and other Republicans had won by a lot before. So they thought, aha, this is what we can do. So they send in somebody. But even if you're a Republican that didn't vote for Trump, or you reluctantly voted for Trump, that doesn't mean that 4 months later you're going to switch and vote for Nancy Pelosi.
Right.
That was, I think, a mistake that they made. And if you look, though, the Democrats have been smarter in other races. They are recruiting more moderate Democrats that are pro-Second Amendment, pro-business, pro-military, that they might have better luck in the districts where they might actually be able to win. This district wasn't one of them, and they wasted a lot of money.
So they're going more of the Republican messaging, and that's what I think is going to pay off, because people want some change. They want things to be handled in Washington the right way, and that's what President Trump has promised and delivered. Big mistake that the Democrats made, besides all the money that they dumped into Georgia, was nationalizing that race, making a referendum against Trump instead of making it about that district. Big mistake. And you would think that they would learn, but not so much, because every time they do the same thing and they fail miserably. And what we're seeing is it's just strengthening the base and the popularity of President Trump amongst his supporters. And that's why when you look at the polls, that he is in fact very strong with the people that supported him. He's got 96 to 97% of the people that cast a ballot and a vote for him, they would do it again with confidence. So now all he's got to do is get some other people over to his side. I don't think it's going to be that hard to do, because if he has strong job numbers and continues to improve the economy, voters will care about that.
Juan?
Well, I just think that's a fantasy. I mean, I think what happened in Georgia last night was that Republicans turned out in astounding numbers, according to all the political strategists. And what you see is party loyalty carrying the day. It wasn't a mistake for President Trump and the Republicans to nationalize the election, because all of a sudden, with ads about Scalise being shot or Kathy Griffin holding up the head, all of a sudden it was like time for Republicans to rally, even as Republican support for President Trump is going down. That's why he goes out. He goes to this kind of rally. He says, hey, look at all, show cameras, show these crowd. He's really talking to Republicans and saying, stay with me.
Pro-growth economy, he will succeed again.
That's right. It's about the economy, stupid. I think it was your guy that said that. Much more to come from the president's rally tonight.
Having moderate to severe plaque psoriasis is not always easy. It's a long-distance run, and you have the determination to keep going. Humira has a proven track record of being prescribed for nearly 10 years. Humira works inside the body to target and help block a specific source of inflammation that contributes to symptoms. In clinical trials, most adults taking Humira were clear or almost clear, and many saw 75% and even 90% clearance in just 4 months.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Join over 250,000 people who have chosen Humira. Ask about the #1 prescribed biologic by dermatologists. Humira, and go.
We're on to you, diabetes. Time's up, insufficient prenatal care. And administrative paperwork. Your days of drowning people are numbered.
They're saying President Trump has not produced health care. You know, I've been there for 5 months. If you remember, during the Clinton period, they worked for years and years and years. They never got health care. President Obama, his whole administration, pushing for Obamacare, which has now failed. Obamacare is a disaster. It's over. If we went and got the single greatest health care plan in the history of the world, we would not get one Democrat vote, because they're obstructionists. If we came to you and said, here's your plan, you're going to have the greatest plan in history, and you're going to pay nothing, they'd vote against it, folks. So we have a very slim 52 to 48. That means we basically can't lose anybody. I hope, can't guarantee anything, but I hope we're going to surprise you with a really good plan. You know, I've been talking about a plan with heart. I said, add some money to it. A plan with heart. But Obamacare is dead.
Okay, so that was one of the things that I thought was the most effective parts of the speech in terms of making news and also driving the policy and using one of these events to give air cover to Republicans. And tomorrow, Juan, the Republicans on the Senate side say they're going to release the bill. It will be there for all to see, but they do plan to have a vote pretty quickly by next week. What do you think of that?
Well, I'm all anxious to see what's in it. I mean, basically what we've seen tonight in terms of the early releases is that they plan to have a slower decline in terms of federal assurances with regard to paying medical bills for the poor under Medicaid, and they plan to put more money into subsidies to help people who are poor deal with the high cost of premiums. So the ultimate question, Dana, is, does this plan provide insurance for more people than Obamacare? Does it deal with pre-existing conditions? Does it allow people who need preventative care to get it? Does it prevent kids from being kicked off of their parents' plans prematurely? And so far, what we're seeing is that nobody says that it meets that standard. I think what you saw from President Trump tonight is an effort to try to say, hey, this is about us versus the Democrats. The Democrats aren't going to approve anything we do. And the Democrats took forever to whip up a plan. And I've been there 5 months, and yeah, I promised I would undo it in the first 100 days, and I promised this, and I promised, but don't worry. So he's asking people to have maybe a medical case of amnesia. Maybe they're going to need Obamacare. But all of a sudden, it's all about us versus the Democrats, not about what he's actually got on the table or what Republicans will be voting on next week.
Well, what do you think will matter more, the substance of the bill or the fact that there is a bill and there's process and there's movement? Because you just had today insurer Anthem pulling out of 2 additional states and the lead up to this bill being introduced.
I'm having a deja vu. I mean, this is exactly kind of President Obama was complaining about the same thing, wasn't he?
Yeah, because no Republicans voted for that.
Yeah, exactly. So you got that. But I always look at what Donald Trump is trying to do, and it's fairly consistent in everything he does, whether it's the dealing with Cuba or the Paris Accords or Obamacare. He looks at these things as products. He even looks at countries as products. This is a lousy product. How can we make it better? And he looked at, like, Obamacare, he looks at it like the Paris Accords. It's a lousy product. I'm going to try to fix it. So he's saying, like, okay, I'm working on it. Let me work on it. We're going to get it done. I mean, think about this. This didn't happen with Obamacare. I mean, talk about dead of night, hammered it through. They walked with the big gavel. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was absurd. And it was built on a pyramid of lies. You're going to keep your doctor. At least this is messy. And don't think, and people saying that he's doing it in secret. He does nothing in secret. We know exactly what he's doing. This is the opposite of how Obamacare was rolled out. And it's messy. It's going to take time. It might be a little clumsy, but that's because they're human beings and we're watching it.
But, Greg, it's been totally in secret.
No, come on, Juan, you have no credibility on health care. You guys passed a thing in secret. It was lied about.
Wait a second.
It was expensive.
This is what
you
Greg
broke
just
the
said.
website.
Greg said,
and then it bombed. You guys have no credibility on health care.
I have a lot of credibility, but hang on a second.
What happened 2 months ago when they introduced the whole idea? We saw it go down in flames, correct?
We saw what go down in flames?
When they first came out with and no one would agree on it.
You mean
the House plan? Yes, we watched it unfold.
The House plan is about, the support for a House plan across all Americans is about 8%. And now you have them in the Senate not having open negotiations, not having hearings, not having the committees meet to discuss.
Did they have hearings or open negotiations when you guys come together? No, you bribed senators in Nebraska to get it through.
You are revising
about it.
But Kimberly, you remember that whole summer of 2009 we had.
What a great
remember
summer.
all those town hall meetings? There was a ton of debate. But we've been having this debate, and the fixes are not as hard to debate. The other thing that he said there is, remember he had the big Rose Garden ceremony with all the House members and said, this is a beautiful bill. Then, behind closed doors, he tells them, it's too mean. I want you to add more heart to it. And I think that's actually what you're going to see tomorrow.
I think you're absolutely right. And guess what? How do we think and know that? Because he just said it. And that was, like you said, one of the most effective and impactful moments of the night when he said, I told him, put some more money into it. He wanted them to have some better benefits, some more money towards it. So this is when people come to me and say, oh, Kimberly, what's going to happen? I'm so worried about. I'm like, why are you so worried? They're only trying to improve on Obamacare. They're just trying to make it better, not worse. They're trying to expand on it, make it better, make it more comprehensive, and do a better job. You may get some good health care in New York under the existing system. You're not getting that throughout the rest of the United States, where they have one choice and they're paying an insane amount of money increases. That's not fair. You should care about that so that it's more equitable.
This is Republican
and I think this is going to go through.
You sabotage Obamacare and say, oh, Obamacare's fair.